I got a little bit different one for you here today. Just give me just a minute, I'm walking over to it. This one here is a Dodge Grand Caravan. Okay, it is a 2011. What the complaint is the battery light came on the dash. And yeah, it's still on. The battery light's on, and obviously check engine light's on. There is a stored code. Somebody else pulled this code during the day. It's a P0622, and I believe I'll run in and check the definition real quick. They wrote it down. So the definition is alternator / battery light on code P0622 open circuit. It says ALT field, so alternator field control circuit. Okay. So I've seen that code in the past. I already kind of know what's going on with it, but I'm going to show you what I did here. Get back over to the van. My stupid squeaky shoe. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to fire this van back up. You hear that belt squeal. So two things you want to do is you want to make sure, first of all, let me run over and grab my light so I can show you guys some stuff. You want to make sure with that belt squeal, you want to make sure that belt's not slipping and not spinning the alternator the way it should be, because that always could be a likely scenario. I already did quickly take a brief look at this, and that is not the scenario with this van, although the belt squeal is not normal, so that will be addressed as well. The squeal has gone away, which is good. Every now and again I think it'll chirp. So yeah, it's chirping a little bit. So what I have here is my voltmeter set up on volts DC. This isn't mine. This isn't a meter that I would normally use. This is a basic meter. Ooh, that baby's really noisy. But it gets the job done. So what I have is a positive lead on a positive terminal and a negative lead on a negative cable. It's not a big deal if we reverse those. What'll happen if you reverse those is it'll just, you'll see, here's what we have for reading, and I'll show you. I'll reverse them. So I'll put the positive on the negative and the negative on the positive. So that's the only difference, is it has the negative negative 14.31. There, spit it out, Sean. Jesus. So just for my purpose, I'm going to switch them back. We have 14.3. Okay, now I'm going to go inside. That bell is really chirping. It wasn't doing that earlier. I'm just taking a peek down there at the AC compressor. AC compressor is engaged. So I know the defrost is on. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to turn all the loads on, because it's saying I have a battery light on and it's still saying my voltage is okay. Now, we don't have one of those fancy Midtronics battery testers here, or the Snap-on battery tester. Pretty much a voltmeter is all we have here, and that's what we'll use to make a determination. You can just see that flicker right there, drop down to 13 volts. 13.8 right there. So, in my experience, if it's charging good when you first get it started, the best thing to do is let it run a little while, and as it warms up and that alternator is spinning, it'll typically tend to change. So what I'm going to do here is turn the fan on high. I'm going to make sure the defroster's on. It is. I'm actually going to turn the rear defroster on. I'm going to turn the headlights on. And I'm going to turn the high beams on. And the reason I'm doing that, guys, is I want to load the electrical system as heavy as I can. I want to put the heaviest load I can on it. So I've got the rear fan on, I've got the front fan on, I've got rear and front defrost on, I got my high beams on. That's pretty much all the loads I can put on this van quickly. And I want to do that because I really want to have the alternator at its highest performance. So this alternator more than likely is PCM controlled, rather than the alternator having an internal voltage regulator. The PCM is doing all the controlling. So when I put all these loads on, I want the PCM to say, hey, you know what? I need to ramp this alternator up big time. And that's what I'm trying to do here. So as you can see by me doing that, when I just brought my phone over to show you guys a video, I took a glance and it was 12.9 volts at the battery. Now, as we let this run, let it run. If it tests good at first and you're like, oh man, what the hell? I don't know what's going on. Let it run. Let it do its thing here. The best place to test it is right off of the alternator itself. And I'm probably not going to get a good view of it because this alternator is down in there and a little bit buried. You can kind of see the wire. Of course, my flashlight, the glare is not the greatest. So it looks to me, this wire here, and move my flashlight just a touch. This wire right here, hold on a second. Yep, it is. So this wire right here, this one, my finger's on with this foil on it. It's like a heat wrap. So that goes down to the stud on the alternator. Now ideally I like to test right from that stud, and I test from the case on the alternator for the ground. Let me just take a peek at the voltmeter, see what it's doing. Now with all the loads on, it's 13.67. Now obviously if you had a normal, like a battery tester, a good one that would also do your charging system, you can hook it right to the battery and it will go through and do the whole process for you. And I'll take the questions right out of it. I'll have you increase the RPMs, turn your headlights on, let it idle, turn your headlights off, increase RPMs. It'll do the whole test for you. And it'll give you a printout of diode, ripple, cranking volts, voltage loaded, at idle, increase. It'll give you the whole printout, and I'll pretty much take a lot of the guesswork out of it for you. But here, you know, like you guys may experience trying to do this on your own. You may have a voltmeter and that's it. You're not going to have the fancy tools, and we don't have the fancy tool here either. So this is how I'm doing it, just like you guys will. I'm just going to use a voltmeter, and I'm going to make a determination if I think that alternator is good or bad based on what I'm seeing. I'm going to try. I should have used my GoPro, but I'm going to try with my cell phone here to get onto that stud. Maybe what I'll do is set you guys down and try to get a reading. So bear with me just a minute here, guys. It's going to go black, but I promise you that the video didn't stop. I'm going to try to get it on the stud here of this alternator. And then I'm going to try to get it on the case and show you what the reading is. It's very difficult because that stud is very rusty. So I want to make sure I get a good spot as well to put my probe on, or my test lead rather. Yeah, it just keeps falling off, so I might not be able to get a good clip, guys. But I'm going to tell you, let me see if I can do it with both my hands here. Get it on there, and then I'll tell you what I'm seeing. I know this isn't ideal, and if I had my GoPro mounted on my head, I could probably show you all of that. So bear with me. Like I said, this is hard to reach. still here. Don't worry, I didn't lose you. Hopefully I'm not losing you guys. This is kind of being a pain in the butt. So, I'm having a hard time getting a reading on this stud. It's so hard to reach. But I have no doubt in my mind that this alternator is bad. I'm just going to reach over and hit the ground on my battery. Yeah, I'm having a hard time reaching it, guys, and I probably should try to get it from underneath. Oh, there we go. So I got a reading there. So my reading, guys, right now is 14 volts, and I can't show you with the phone because my hands are busy. So it's 14.12, and it's dancing around quite a bit like it was up here. Now I got 14.5, 14.3, and I'm just going to switch it back over to my battery because it seems like it's about the same. Still dancing around. I got it connected back to the battery, guys. So based on what I'm seeing with that code, and I did see it jump down to 12.9 volts with all the loads turned on. I got the headlights and fan and everything going. I'm going to go ahead and replace this alternator, and I'll let you guys know in the comments if in fact it did fix it, but I'm pretty certain that that's going to fix it and turn this battery light off on the dash in this van with all the dancing that it's doing here with the voltage. That's an easy way to test it, guys, with limited tools. The alternator in this van is a little bit varied. You're going to have to take the AC compressor out or take the coolant hose off here. I've done one of these on another van this similar. I've done a couple of them, and I've always had good luck just taking the AC compressor out. But you have to take the long studs out that mount the AC compressor, and then you can drop the alternator right out. It's no problem. It's actually not that big a deal. It takes me with a lift about an hour. If you guys were going to do it on the ground, the only thing I would say is you're going to have to deal with is the AC. Discharging the AC and then recharging the AC is a little bit of an issue. You guys can deal with that how you may. I'm going to recommend you use an AC machine to do that. You can even go to a shop and ask them to remove the Freon out of the system. You can do the repair at your house on your own, put it all back together, and then bring it back to a shop to have the AC system charged. And that would save you a pile of money, guys. But for now, what I'm going to do with this van is I'm going to put an alternator in it. I'm going to check the tensioner while I have the belt off to make sure that feels okay. And then I'm probably going to replace that belt because it was so squeaky. I hate Dayco belts. They're terrible. So I don't recommend you use a Dayco belt. That may be what's on this. I'm not sure. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Peace.